So in these graphs, I have our supply curve, our demand curve for the market, and then I also have the individual firms' marginal cost and average total cost curves here. These are the same equations that we've been working with throughout the whole example. And I filled in some of the numbers, right? In the short run, we have a price of 140, a market quantity of 2,500, as there are 100 of these individual firms, each producing 25 units. So this is our short run profit maximizing point. And then what's happening, because here profits are positive, in other words, price is greater than average total cost, we're going to have entry into the market, which is going to shift our supply curve out until we reach the zero profit long run equilibrium. And as we discussed earlier, that zero profit long run equilibrium occurs here. This is where profit is equal to zero at the intersection of our average total cost and marginal cost curve. So we get at this point a quantity of 10 and a price of 80. So what is happening, the last sort of piece of the puzzle here, is to derive the long run market supply curve. And then show that on our graph. So in the long run, I've got 310 firms, each supplying P over 4 minus 10 units of this product, which gives me 77.5 P minus 3,100. And we can put that here on the graph as the line that goes through this point, 3,100 for market quantity and 80 for price. So you can see supply in the long run shifting out until it pushes price down to the point where each individual firm is earning zero profits or average return on their investment. So what does that mean? Is that good? Well, it is good in the sense that the markets will allocate resources according to consumer demand. So if demand for a product is really high or goes up, the price will be high, and firms will then come into that market seeking above average returns to produce what consumers want. On the flip side, if demand is low, firms are going to leave that market seeking higher returns elsewhere. And our markets allocate resources across industries in response to consumer demand. This is what Adam Smith referred to as the invisible hand of the market. And it's really important because it means that as a society, our scarce resources go to producing exactly what it is that we would like to consume. Markets will allocate resources across industries according to demand, in other words, according to consumer preferences, consumer needs or desires. So this is good because, one, we produce exactly what we want to consume. And two, we produce it efficiently. You'll notice here that we end up producing at the lowest cost, the minimum average total cost per unit. And so we have exactly the number of firms in the market that results in a level of production that minimizes the cost of production. So we use our resources efficiently in that each firm is producing at the minimum average total cost. So we produce here at minimum average total cost, which is productive efficiency. If we're going to produce 100 cars, we want to produce those 100 cars in the lowest cost method. So competitive markets are generally leading to good outcomes for society in terms of resource allocation across industries and productive efficiency. Now, of course, there are problems with that, free, unhindered markets, when we have firms with market power, which we'll address later, and if we have market failure due to some kind of externality or asymmetric information, etc., which we'll also be talking about in the last section of the class. But for now, hopefully we've got a foundation for how firms approach cost minimization and profit maximization, and how that combines with demand to lead to good outcomes for society in perfectly competitive markets.